In today's fast-moving world of politics, power, and unfortunate situations, one question matters most. What happens when a problem starts talking? Introducing the scandal containment system, the all-in-one solution for when discretion isn't optional, it's survival. Step 1, like access control leaking information, making calls you don't like, no problem. We reroute, block, and silence communication instantly. Because sometimes the safest conversation is the one that never happens. Step 2, sensitive material removal diaries, notes, recordings. Anything that could cause complications, gone. No evidence, no paper trail, no headache. Step 3, narrative engineering. We don't just solve problems, we rewrite them. From security threat to troubled individual, from explosive scandal to tragic ending. Clean, simple, believable. Step 4, medical plausibility package, complicated situation. We streamline the outcome, professionally managed, quietly executed, officially documented. Step 5, timeline optimization. We give you what you need most, time. Time to align statements, time to prepare responses, time to make everything make sense. The scandal containment system trusted by professionals who understand one thing. Problems don't disappear on their own, they get handled.
Pizzaverse Studios. A Palermo Productions original. Written by Bambi Palermo. Narrated by Vincent DiPrio. Marilyn Monroe, The Diary, The Wiretap, and The Deadly Silence. The public mourned a symbol of despair. Officially, Marilyn Monroe died on August 4th, 1962, at her Brentwood home, and her death was ruled a probable suicide caused by acute barbiturate poisoning. 2 decades later, a Los Angeles County review said it found no credible evidence of murder. But official rulings do not kill rumors. And Marilyn Monroe did not die in a simple world. She died in an America where celebrity brushed shoulders with power, where the Kennedy administration was entangled in Cold War secrecy, where the CIA secretly worked with Mafia figures in plots against Fidel Castro, and where places like Cal Neva existed as playgrounds for men who preferred their pleasures hidden behind money, loyalty, and silence. In the darkest version of this story, Marilyn Monroe was not merely a troubled star. She was a liability. A woman drifting between presidents, fixers, intelligence gossip, mob mythology, and the kind of secrets that powerful men do not forgive. In that version, her death was not despair. It was containment. Whether that is truth, distortion, or a century of fear stitched together into legend, the story survives for one reason. Marilyn Monroe's death sits at the center of America's deepest obsessions: power, sex, surveillance, organized crime, celebrity, and the possibility that the official story was only the version permitted to live. The Price of Illinois. In conspiracy lore, Marilyn Monroe's death was not born in Hollywood. It was born in politics. The theory begins with the 1960 election, when John F. Kennedy needed Illinois, and Illinois meant Cook County. In that version of events, Joseph Kennedy did not merely trust campaign speeches and charisma. He understood the arithmetic of American power, and he knew who held influence in Chicago. Sam Giancana was not just another hoodlum in a tabloid headline. He was one of the dominant figures in the Chicago outfit, heir to a machine built on fear, patronage, and disciplined corruption. To the men who tell this story, Giancana did not see the Kennedy campaign as civic duty. He saw it as an investment. That is where the blood ledger begins. Whether the outfit truly delivered Illinois in the direct way, later storytellers claimed, is still argued over and often overstated. But what is not in dispute is that the Kennedy years quickly turned into open war between Robert F. Kennedy and organized crime. And in the underworld, betrayal is never filed away as politics. It becomes personal. The betrayal. Once Robert F. Kennedy became Attorney General, the honeymoon with organized crime was over before it ever began. He pursued the Mafia aggressively. He targeted labor corruption. He targeted Jimmy Hoffa. He escalated pressure on the very criminal networks conspiracy writers believe helped clear the path to the White House. To Robert Kennedy, it was law enforcement. To his enemies, it was treason. In the dark retelling of Marilyn Monroe's death, this betrayal explains everything that follows. The Kennedys had taken what they needed and then turned the full force of the federal government against the men who expected protection. That kind of insult does not evaporate in a city like Chicago. It waits. It studies. And when it cannot strike the throne directly, it looks for a weakness close enough to poison the king. The weakness. Marilyn Monroe entered this mythology as the perfect target for exploitation. She was famous enough to matter, fragile enough to manipulate, and close enough to powerful men to become dangerous. Her rumored connections to both John and Robert Kennedy are part of the historical fog surrounding her final years, though many details remain disputed, embellished, or impossible to prove cleanly. But the conspiracy version does not care about clean edges. It paints Marilyn as leverage. Not a woman. Not an actress. Leverage. In that story, the brothers did not see a soul in pain. They saw a glamorous side chamber of power, private, disposable, and deniable. And the mob? The mob saw the same thing. Only they saw it faster. Cal Neva. The Cal Neva Lodge sits near the center of this mythology like a neon-lit fever dream. Historically, Frank Sinatra purchased the resort in 1960 with partners, and Sam Giancana was widely linked to it. Giancana's presence at the resort caused serious problems for Sinatra's gaming license and helped turn the property into one of the most enduring symbols of celebrity mob crossover in that era. That much is real. Beyond that, the darker stories multiply. Secret tunnels, hidden rooms, political compromat, drugged weekends, audio traps, high-end blackmail. Those claims live mostly in memoir, lore, and conspiracy retellings rather than settled fact. But in documentary terms, Cal Neva matters because it represents the atmosphere of the world Marilyn moved through. A world where glamorous places were also operational spaces. Where entertainment and surveillance were not always strangers. Where the same men who poured drinks might also be cataloging weakness. Marilyn went into that world as a guest and came out of it as an asset under observation. Operation Mongoose. This is where the story collides with something hard and documented. The CIA did, in fact, work with Mafia figures in plots against Fidel Castro. Official records and later congressional revelations tied anti-Castro efforts to men such as Sam Giancana, Johnny Rosselli, and Santo Traficante Jr. That is not gossip. That is history. Operation Mongoose and the wider anti-Castro program belong to the documented architecture of Cold War desperation. The leap, and it is a leap, comes when conspiracy writers say Marilyn Monroe learned too much about that hidden alliance. Some versions claim Robert Kennedy shared dangerous information with her. Some say she wrote names, operations, and impressions into a red diary. But the supposed diary has never been substantiated in any reliable, public, evidentiary way, and one notable claim about it was publicly described as a hoax. Still, the image survives because it is irresistible. A glamorous starlet carrying a little red book filled with secrets powerful enough to set Washington and Chicago on fire. Proven. No. Powerful as mythology? Absolutely. The Red Diary. The Red Diary is the beating heart of the conspiracy version. Marilyn wrote everything down. The names. The promises. The intimate humiliations. The political whispers. The anti-Castro talk. The betrayals. Historically, though, this object lives in unstable territory. The Red Diary is a staple of Monroe conspiracy literature, but it has never been verified as the kind of national security ledger later writers made it out to be. And that matters. Because if you remove the diary as proven fact, the story shifts. It becomes not the documented elimination of a witness. It becomes the possibility that Marilyn Monroe was perceived as unstable, indiscreet, emotionally volatile, and close enough to dangerous men to make those men nervous. And that, by itself, is enough to keep suspicion alive. Because history is full of people killed not for what they had already exposed, but for what powerful people feared they might expose next. The final days. By the summer of 1962, Marilyn Monroe's life had become a tangle of professional instability, heavy medication, emotional distress, and increasing isolation. She had been fired from Something's Got to Give before eventually being rehired, and her health and reliability were constant public concerns. This much is not theory. This is record. What comes next is where the floor gives way. Some say she was preparing to fight back. Some say she was making calls, threatening revelations, refusing to disappear quietly. Some say powerful men concluded she was no longer merely embarrassing. She was dangerous. But those claims remain unproven. And that is the split in the road. One side leads to overdose, despair, and a woman collapsing under the unbearable weight of fame, chemicals, and loneliness. The other leads to containment, to a coordinated decision made in silence, to a death scene interpreted not as tragedy, but as theater. The body, the room, the argument. Monroe was found dead in her bedroom at 12305 5th Helena Drive. The official finding was acute barbiturate poisoning, probable suicide. The conspiracy case lives in the details people have argued over ever since. The timing. The calls. The witness accounts. The body position. The contradiction between public image and private panic. But the specific claims often become stronger in retelling than they are in evidence. For example, one oft-repeated talking point is that a totally empty stomach proved murder, yet the later DA review concluded the drugs had enough time to disperse into blood and liver, which undercut that argument as definitive proof of foul play. That does not eliminate every question. It does, however, wreck the lazy version of the murder theory. So if this documentary is going to hit, it cannot pretend every rumor is a nailed-down fact. It has to do something sharper. Show how Marilyn Monroe's death became a battlefield between evidence, inference, fear, and the public appetite for a darker ending. The official script. By dawn, the world had its story. Marilyn Monroe, tragic beauty, dead from pills. The public accepted it because it fit. It fit the star image. It fit the headlines. It fit the cultural hunger for a cautionary tale about glamour and self-destruction. And once a story fits emotionally, people stop asking whether it fits mechanically. That is how a death hardens into myth. The 1982 Los Angeles Review did not endorse the murder theories. It said the office found no credible evidence of homicide. But here is the poison in the well. No credible evidence is not the same thing in the public imagination as every question is resolved. So the official story stayed standing, and the shadows kept eating at its ankles. The men around her. The reason Marilyn Monroe's death remains combustible is not just Marilyn. It is the men orbiting her story. Robert Kennedy. John Kennedy. Sam Giancana. Johnny Rosselli. Santo Trafficante Jr. Frank Sinatra. Jimmy Hoffa. The CIA. The FBI. The Justice Department. None of them belong to the same category, and that is exactly what makes the case feel radioactive. It sits where official power, criminal power, celebrity access, and secret operations all overlap. The CIA Mafia anti-Castro collaboration is documented. The Monroe death is purged narrative is not. But the proximity of those worlds keeps the theory alive. In other words, the conspiracy lives because the era was already corrupt enough to make people believe almost anything, and sometimes that belief becomes stronger than proof. What remains? What remains at 5th Helena Drive is not certainty. It is friction. Officially, Marilyn Monroe died by probable suicide from barbiturate poisoning. Official reviewers later said they found no credible evidence of murder. But unofficially, the case keeps mutating. In one version, Marilyn Monroe was the doomed final victim of fame. In another, she was a political liability erased before she could make herself impossible to ignore. The truth may be smaller than the legend, or uglier, or both. But what made this story immortal is not just that Marilyn died. It is that she died at the exact intersection of everything Americans distrust most. Beautiful people, secret governments, criminal empires, powerful men, closed rooms, and a version of history that always feels one layer too clean. So the file may be closed, but the silence around it never was. The public mourned a broken icon. The state recorded a probable suicide. The conspiracy world wrote a purge. And somewhere between those versions sits the reason Marilyn Monroe's death still grips the American imagination more than 60 years later. Because once a woman dies inside a maze of celebrity, sex, Cold War secrecy, and organized crime mythology, the truth does not come out clean. It comes out stained. From Pizzaverse Studios and Palermo Productions, this is the story of how a death becomes larger than evidence, how rumor feeds on power, and how Hollywood glamour can become the perfect camouflage for fear. Because in America, some stories end with the coroner's ruling, and some stories keep breathing in the dark. From Pizzaverse Studios, a Palermo Productions original, written by Bambi Palermo. We appreciate you for watching, for thinking, and for staying with stories long enough to separate what is documented, what is alleged, and what powerful people may have wanted the world to believe. Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean Mortensen, actress, cultural icon. Marilyn Monroe was one of the most famous actresses in the world, known for her roles in films like Some Like It Hot. Behind the image, she struggled with mental health, insomnia, and heavy use of prescription medication. She died in 1962 at age 36. Her death officially ruled a probable suicide, though it remains widely debated. Robert F. Kennedy, Attorney General, political power figure. Robert F. Kennedy served as U.S. Attorney General under his brother, President John F. Kennedy. He led aggressive campaigns against organized crime and corruption. His rumored connection to Marilyn Monroe has been heavily discussed, but remains unproven. He was assassinated in 1968. John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was the 35th U.S. president, known for his leadership during the Cold War and the Cuban Missile Crisis. His personal life, including alleged affairs, has been widely examined. He was assassinated in 1963. Sam Giancana. Chicago outfit boss. Sam Giancana was a powerful leader of the Chicago Mafia. He had connections to Las Vegas, Hollywood, and figures involved in CIA anti-Castro operations. He was murdered in 1975 before he could testify before Congress. Jimmy Hoffa, Teamsters Union leader. Jimmy Hoffa was the president of the Teamsters Union and one of the most powerful labor figures in America. He had known connections to organized crime and was under investigation by Robert Kennedy. He disappeared in 1975 and was never found. Johnny Roselli, mob associate, CIA link figure. Link figure Johnny Roselli was a mob-connected figure involved in Las Vegas and Hollywood circles. He was linked to CIA-backed anti-Castro plots. He was murdered in 1976, his body found in an oil drum. Santo Traficante Jr., mob boss, Cuba operations. Santo Traficante Jr. was a Florida-based mob boss with major interests in pre-revolution Cuba. He was connected to anti-Castro operations involving U.S. intelligence. He was never convicted of major crimes and died in 1987. Frank Sinatra singer, Rat Pack figure. Frank Sinatra was one of the most famous entertainers of the 20th century and a central figure in the Rat Pack. He had documented associations with figures in organized crime and owned a stake in the Cal Neva Lodge.
Speaking of measurements, are they still the same as when you left? Have you gained weight? Have you lost weight?
I think I'm about the same.
About the same.
Yes.
Nobody has any complaints.
I don't know.
Speak up, boys. You're wearing a high-neck vest now. The last time I saw you were wearing. Is this a new Marilyn, a new style?
No, I'm the same person, but it's a different suit.
In Hollywood, every star needs protection. Not real protection, of course. God forbid, we mean image protection. Introducing the Hollywood Float Plan, the premium crisis management package for celebrities, studios, and rich people with a very inconvenient night on the water. Got broken glass? No problem. Got screaming witnesses? We can blur that out. Got a timeline that makes absolutely no damn sense? Our experts will stretch it, fold it, and dress it up in a tuxedo till it looks like a tragic accident. With the Hollywood Float plan, you get immediate narrative control. Before the body's even cold, we've already got 3 friendly quotes, 2 soft focus headlines, and 1 polished public statement about deep sorrow. Witness reduction technology. Not reduction like that. Relax. We just make everybody sound confused, emotional, unreliable, or drunk. Real classy stuff. Studio-grade reputation shielding. Why investigate when you can protect the brand? If there's a movie in production, a television career on the line, or a beloved leading man involved, we go to work like greased lightning. Luxury blame transfer. Bruises, tragic confusion. Delays, miscommunication. Questions, conspiracy theories. Dead woman? Sad, unfortunate, very complicated. And for a limited time, upgrade to the Gilded Silence Platinum package, featuring a friendly press corps, selective memory, missing urgency, and that old-fashioned Hollywood magic where powerful men walk away clean while everybody else gets buried under the credits. So remember, when the night goes wrong, don't reach for the truth. Reach for the Hollywood Float plan. Because in this town, image floats. Even when justice sinks. The Hollywood Float plan. Turning scandal into sympathy since the Golden Age.
I'll pick my battles 'cause I know I'm gonna win the war. I'm not rattled 'cause I shattered all of this before. Steadier than steel 'cause I'm ready with my shield and sword. Back on the saddle 'cause I gathered all my strength for more. And I won't bow, I won't break. No, I'm not afraid to do whatever it takes. I'll never bow, I'll never break. 'Cause I'm a warrior, I fight for my life like a soldier. All through the night and I won't give up. I will survive, I'm a warrior. And I'm stronger, that's why I'm alive. I will conquer, time after time, I'll never falter. I will survive, I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. Like a Viking, I'll be fighting through the day and night. I'll be marching through the darkness till the morning light. Even when it's harder, like the armor, you will see me shine. No, I won't stop and I won't drop until the victory's mine. And I won't bow, I won't break. No, I'm not afraid to do whatever it takes. I'll never bow, I'll never break. 'Cause I'm a warrior, I fight for my life like a soldier. All through the night and I won't give up. I will survive, I'm a warrior. And I'm stronger, that's why I'm alive. I will conquer. give up. I will survive, I'm a warrior.